Merck has been one of the top performers, up more than 20% year to date. The company winning FDA approval for a new drug that treats a rare form of high blood pressure. The drug's clearance coming at a critical time for Merck as it prepares to lose market exclusivity for its cancer drug, Keytruda. Merck CEO Rob Davis joins us now for more. Rob, good morning to you.
Greg, good morning.
Can we talk about that approval yesterday? How much of a breakthrough is this?
This is really, we think, something special. The disease we are hopefully able now to really make a difference in is pulmonary arterial hypertension. And this is a rare disease. It's not a well-known disease, but it's a devastating disease. This is a disease that primarily affects women in the prime of life, age 30 to 60. Mortality rates of 43% in 5 years. So you can imagine impact not only to the patient, but to the family of people who otherwise are in the prime of life is really tragic. Thankfully and hopefully we'll make a difference in that. This drug now we're bringing forward, it's called Winrevair. Is a biologic. It's a first-in-class medicine. It's a new mechanism of action called a activin signaling inhibitor. And what it actually does is potentially remodels the blood vessels, your arterial vessels, that allows them to open up. Because what PAH does, it causes your blood vessels in your lungs to thicken and narrow, which ultimately leads to heart disease.
How often do you take this? Every 3 weeks? How does this work?
Yeah, so it's a 3-week subcutaneous injection, can be done by the patient or caregiver. And so this would be something you would administer. We expect most people do in home.
I wish we could go into a whole segment about how you come up with these names, Winrevair, Keytruda. We can do that another time. I do want to get a sense, though, of this whole idea of how you got into this through an acquisition to partner with someone, and then what the importance is of looking beyond some of the mainstays like cancer. It's sort of that diversity that we were just hearing about. Yeah,
well, obviously, we are a science-led, science-driven company, and this came about because we were already starting to look into this space. So our cardiovascular teams within Merck were doing work in this space. When they saw the data from a company called Acceleron that had this asset, they came to me and said, we're excited. This can be a difference maker, and that's why we moved on this. And it really now is a foundational element in our broader cardiovascular and cardiometabolic portfolio. So it is one where we see the value of diversification. Obviously, we're a leader in oncology. We're a leader in vaccines. We're increasingly moving into immunology and this move into cardiometabolic space, which is significant for us.
There are a lot of people who are listening who invest increasingly in healthcare. And all they want to hear about is, what's your solution for weight loss? Because that's really the reason why so many people have gone into the healthcare stocks and into the industry. You are working on a GLP-1 type of drug, but that's not for weight loss. It's for fatty liver. Why are you approaching this differently and not necessarily directed at the weight loss itself and more on some of the illness that potentially some of it can cause? Yeah,
well, so the mechanism you're talking about, we have a GLP-1 glucagon dual agonist, and this is important because while it brings weight loss benefits, frankly, similar to what you'd see with Ozempic, our primary focus, as you point out, is fatty liver disease, which is really an untreated area today. And our view of this space is obesity is important, but increasingly it's the comorbidities around obesity. It's heart disease. It's diabetes, it's liver disease. And so if we can affect those and bring outcomes that benefit patients clinically there, they get the weight benefit, but then as you think about reimbursement, as you think about value, that's where the value comes to society, because actually we're making people more healthy than just losing weight.
Is this mostly a coverage play? Essentially, it's easier for this to get reimbursed and insured, and that's one reason why if you gear it at some of the illnesses, you won't have to get into the whole debate that's percolating elsewhere?
Yeah, well, again, from a Merck perspective, it starts with the patient at the center. So we see this as a disease that needs to be dealt with. But yes, I think the benefit of this is if you can show outcome, if you can show that there's something beyond just a weight loss, then your ability to be reimbursed and the ability to show value to society is different. It will be different.
But to your point, if obesity leads to so many other health issues, at some point will insurance or the government even be able to put this under their plans?
We would expect so, yes, for sure. And I think you're already starting to see that start to shift. And it will be the outcomes-driven approaches that drive that. for sure.
We started this conversation by talking about this new drug that you've developed, got approval, stock ran away high yesterday. I was going through the cost. So the cost could be about $242,000 a year. I've always struggled with this, and I want you to explain to me, why is it so much more expensive in America compared to, say, the prices that I see for drugs abroad, in Europe, in the UK? What explains that difference?
Yeah, well, it's hard to do an apples-to-apples comparison. If you look at what drugs are as a percentage of total healthcare spend in the United States, they run about 14 to 15%. If you look across Europe, for instance, it's about the same. It's about 12 to 13%. So the reality of it is that healthcare as a total area, not just drugs, in the United States is more expensive. The percentage of cost of drugs in the United States is equal to what it is outside the United States. So it's hard to just take one element of the healthcare system and say, let's focus on it, not understanding the broader questions. If you're in the United States, the thing we benefit from, you get the fastest access, you get the most access to the most innovative medicine, driven by an industry that is based here in the United States and exports to the world. We need to look at the totality of what we see as really three elements you have to think about: access, affordability, but then also making sure you're protecting the innovation ecosystem that we value in this country.
Rob, we appreciate the breakthrough. That's for sure. In the last 24 hours, a major breakthrough. Thank you very much for being with us, sir. Robert Davis there, the Merck CEO.